Alrighty. Hello. Welcome back to Life is a Vibe. I am very happy to be back. It has officially been a month since I last did a podcast, I believe. And I wanted to do a little life update, big vibe check episode. I had another topic planned, but I feel like we just need a debrief on like everything in my life right now. And it's a Monday night, it's late night, we got some cozy vibes going on, and really just wanted to have a candid and open conversation, because even though I am a life coach and I teach about life fulfillment, some things have not been feeling all that great, and things have not been feeling fulfilling, and you can feel a little bit like an imposter in terms of like, oh, I coach women and help women like lead these fulfilling lives, and then like I'm feeling this big question mark in mine right now, and that's a multitude of things going on. So I think the best place to start is, how was my February? Where did that all go? Where did that all happen? Because I was in such a consistent groove. I was really like feeling good about February. And so that's what this episode is going to be. We're going to go into a bunch of different things on my mind and on my heart right now, because I feel like I've been bottling a lot of stuff up. And if anything, I hope that this episode feels like a nice conversation. It gives you some things to think about and whatnot. Side note, if you're watching on YouTube, I did get a facial today, so my face might look a little oily, or it might look like, I needed a facial today. I've definitely been prioritizing self-care. But the last upload I did for this podcast, let me just double check so I don't like speak incorrectly here, and I can also know like what was the last thing I shared on this podcast. February 1st, 5 ways to level up your routines. I think this was the episode right before Habits and Routines Accelerator started with my group coaching girls. So beginning of February, I was really feeling good. I mean, if I open up my planner here that I have, my intentions for February was like just really getting into alignment. I can't even remember what my word really was for February. Did I have it? I think it might have been alignment or something like that. And so, I was really feeling excited. I wanted to align my business with my goals, make some moves, stay consistent, plan around my cycle, go on dates with Chase, so on and so forth. And 5 days into February, some of you guys might have seen this on social media. Some of you might have no idea. And it's crazy to talk about this out loud, and it's been officially a month now. I found out a friend passed away from suicide, and it's still hard to talk about. It's still hard to think about. Actually, this past weekend marked 3 years since I've seen her, because she lived in San Diego. And so this weekend, 3 years ago, was the last weekend we spent time together. And so I found the news of that out on Monday, February 6th, I think it was. And it happened Sunday night. And news like that, you're never, ever just going to be prepared for. And it was crazy, because something in my soul that day knew something was wrong. My energy that entire day, from the moment I woke up, I just was like not feeling the energy of the day. I was feeling tired. I was just feeling like not in it. I was feeling like down and just it was a weird thing. And I was literally crying on the phone to Chase. And I was like, I feel like I'm just not living up to my potential. And like, I have all these things I want to do and get done. And like, I'm just not doing them. And I was feeling really, really frustrated. And I don't know what happened, but I just decided to scroll on Twitter. He was like, just take the afternoon off, like go easy on yourself. Like Chase is really great reflecting back onto me what I always reflect onto him. But I go onto Twitter and I see a post, and I honestly thought it was I legit thought it was a joke, and it wasn't a joke. I texted my friend. She told me everything that happened, and then I just went into a frenzy sob, and I called Chase, and all I could get out was her name. And at first he thought it was someone else, but then he realized who it was. And then he was like, I'm coming over. And like, yeah, it was just very disheartening and really sad and upsetting. And probably the week after that was just a blur. Like I took time off. I pushed some coaching calls and like just really worked through that grief. And grief when being long distance to begin with, I dealt with it with my grandma. And this was also the first friend I've ever lost, which I'm partially grateful, but at the same time, it still sucks. You know what I mean? To lose a friend. And we were already long distance to begin with. So it's one of those things where I have to keep reminding myself like, oh, she's gone. Like, oh, she's really gone. As opposed to, oh, this is a person that just lives far away from me, right? And long distance friendships are really hard. And the first couple of days I had that cycle, I should have reached out more. I should have checked in more. I should have just not been so caught up in my own shit, you know? And the what if games will kill you. And I've been able to snap myself out of that. And in a way, I'm very grateful for the people in my life that I have, because they've also lost someone in similar ways, like Chase. And he was very helpful in this process for sure. And just making sure I was eating, making sure I was getting out to go on a walk, making sure I was sleeping. And so, yeah, that really encompassed a lot of my February. I just showed up for my clients. I showed up for freelancing work. I cried when I needed to. And yeah, just got by in February, and it was tough. You know, I even cried yesterday because it's been 3 years since I've seen her, and I will never get to see her again. Of course, in the afterlife, hopefully, one would hope that I will get to see her again. But it's definitely interesting since then. Like, I see disco balls literally everywhere. And that was one of her favorite things. And so I've been seeing disco balls everywhere. Angel numbers have been going insane. Like 555, 333, 111. Been getting all of that. And then just like other little things, like when I was in Arizona, I was able to see mutual friends of ours, which was so healing and so needed. And like, I'm really glad I had already booked that trip to Arizona, because I did get to be with people that also knew her, and got to really like lean on them. And even on the drive back from seeing them, Billie Eilish played. And even when we were together, Rufus Du Sol played. And like, her and I saw Rufus Du Sol together. And I know that was one of her favorite artists. And then like one of her songs, I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but one of her favorite songs, which was a connection to her mom, who her mom had passed, was a Cher song. You know, that "Do you believe in love after love?" Like, I gave her a plaque that had that song, and you know, like one of those music plaques. And when I was with my parents, that song played, and I just like thought of her. And those could just be random coincidences, but like synchronicities, I don't know. There's something about them that it's just like, this is interesting. Like, especially when I was with my friends, we were at a random outdoor bar situation. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called the Roosevelt, maybe. No, I don't know. It was called something else. And there was this taco truck, and, you know, everyone got like drinks and like whatever. And I got like a little CBD margarita, and we were all just hanging out, and someone asked us like our favorite memory with her, and we started going around and saying that. And I kid you not, like Rufus Du Sol would play, and then it would go to like some Sia random song, and then it would go back to Rufus Du Sol. And like maybe the guy that was on the aux like just loved Rufus Du Sol, but it was just very interesting how when we were all together, like that song, like Rufus Du Sol was playing. So it's just like stuff like that. But that was a lot of my February, and like I definitely am going to have my moments for probably the rest of time in remembering her. And I haven't heard anything about like celebration of life or anything like that. So that is another part where like I feel like my grieving has been like in a, not a pause, I use the specific word and I can't remember what it was, but it's kind of just in limbo. That's what it was. Like I feel like when someone passes away and, you know, you make arrangements, you go to a funeral, you go to celebration of life, whatever it is, that helps with your closure and helps with your grieving. And we haven't had that yet. And so a lot of things still kind of feel in limbo right now. And I did write a letter to her when I was in the plane coming back from Arizona, because I finally felt good to open my journal. Like you guys, I could not open my journal. I could not meditate for weeks. And when I was leaving Arizona, I finally felt good to like write while I was up in the sky. And so, yeah, like I said, this was the second death, really, maybe the third death that I've had to like truly grieve. And it's different every time, you know? So I really just didn't force myself to be in any phase of grief. I really leaned on my support system and my friends and family, and I'm so grateful for them. Because typically the hyper masculine independent part of me would just be like, I'm fine, and close off. But I really allowed my friends to like hold me and make sure I was okay and like take care of me. And same with Chase, like letting him show up for me and stuff. And so those were some of like the main things. And then I think not forcing yourself to, or guilting yourself that you should be over it, or that you shouldn't feel this way or whatever, right? Something that was happening often was I was going through the stages of grief in like a single day. Like I was in denial, then I was remembering, then I was crying, then I was accepting and at peace, and then I was mad, and then like all within a day. And so, yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of helpful people share some things in terms of like, you know, you just grow past it with the love that you have for that person, and you continue to show up with that love and give it out to people. And like, yeah, it's just put a lot of things into perspective. Like I just scroll on TikTok or I scroll on Twitter, and people complaining about this, people complaining about that. Like Beyonce shouldn't have won this Grammy. Rihanna's halftime show was blah, like just stuff like that. And then also I am, you know, in the EDM community and rave community with my other platform. And some of the things I'm just like, it really just is not worth it. It really is not worth it. Like to get so worked up over these things. And, you know, if you had the same energy that you put towards some of that stuff, towards showing up for your friends, showing up for your family, showing up for yourself, you know, like that could really change things in your life. But we're so focused on these other little things that, not to get conspiracy, but like are probably put there for a reason, for us to be distracted and to keep us complaining, to keep us negative, to keep us down there, to keep us against each other, to keep us pointing fingers at one another. It's just a lot. And this is different from keeping people accountable for the actions that they've done. That is different. If you feel the need to do that and to share your piece and to do that, by all means. But I'm just talking about some of this petty stuff that I see. It's just like, take that energy, channel it elsewhere. You know, I've done a really great job about not sharing too many of my opinions online, even though I think some do need to be shared soon, but I just did not have the energy for it. But I remember Billie Eilish in an interview one time, she was like, stop putting every thought out on the internet. Like, it doesn't need to go out in the internet. And I wholeheartedly agree. And I just started I would start tweeting things, saving it to my draft. So at least it went into some type of ether, even if it didn't go out to the mass internet. And I've even been doing close friend tweets for those things. But put it in a journal, put it somewhere else, The internet does not need to know every single thought you have, and they don't need to know every single opinion you have on everything. I feel like society and the internet these days, it's like everyone just feels the need to weigh in on everything and give their opinion about everything. But sometimes it's okay to just keep it to yourself and channel that energy elsewhere. I don't even know how we got there, but yeah, I mean, death just brings these kinds of perspectives out, and it's been a really big reality check for how much emphasis I've been putting into the work I'm doing. And of course, I love what I do in my coaching business. I also have been doing freelancing just to get by, which I'm open to being candid about, right? That I don't want to come from a place of scarcity in my business. And so, yeah, I have a couple part-time freelancing things going on just to help out. But even with all of that, I've been really, really aware that even no matter how busy I am, I can still take the time to check in on my friends. I can still take the time to call my mom. I can still take the time to be attentive to my relationship. The work will always be there, and there will always be more work to do. And even just doing that simple text or check-in or whatever, it makes the world of a difference. And we're all just humans trying to figure this thing out. And of course, there's a delicate balance, right? As a generator, I naturally attract people in human design. As a generator, I'm naturally going to attract people in when I am living in my design and being authentic. And of course, when I'm online the way that I am, I do attract more people trying to come in, which is amazing. And I love connection and I love being connected, but that also does come with some boundaries too, because I can't individually meet everyone that's reaching out to me for coffee, because then I would run out of capacity, right? So it's definitely a delicate balance that I'm finding right now. And I just want to make sure that my people, the people that I show up for and that show up for me, I'm really tending to those friendships and relationships that I truly care about. Because it's important. It just is important. And that really ties into my coaching, because I do teach about the areas of life, right? You can't just go so far into work and, be working your butt off, but then you don't have any friends, or you don't have a relationship, or you don't have any hobbies, or you're not taking care of your mental health, right? You have to make sure that you have a well balance. And I have this area of life exercise where you go by each area of life and you rate it 1 out of 10. And I'm not saying that all areas are going to be a 10 out of 10, but you have to at least have some balance between them, right? Have a good range going with all those different areas of life. Like I said, it just brings a lot of things into perspective this past month. And I'm finally feeling like I can move into some action of things, even though I did have a breakdown last week, but I didn't sleep well for consistent days on end last week. And I feel like my not just inner child, but like straight up inner baby came out and was just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. But she probably was speaking some truth, you know? And yeah, it was just end of month feels, and February obviously not going the way that I had planned, but you can't plan for death, so you just have to roll with it. You know what I mean? And just do the best that you can. And I'm not saying that my friend's death was an inconvenience at all. Like, that's not even how it was. It just was like, all right, this has happened. We're going to take some things off our plate. We're going to process this, and we're going to live with this now, you know? And that's just a part of life. As we get older, you know, things are going to happen. And I'm trying to have that level of self-awareness as best as I can and continue on in that way, right? So that's where I'm at now, right? There might be some days where I feel down about it, and what I tell Chase, we call it sad girl vibes, sad girl energy. And there might be some days, like I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm feeling a little sad today. And, you know, we ended up going on a 2-hour walk, and it was one of the best things we've done together. Like, we just started walking and it just felt so good. It felt so good out in Austin. And like, it got to the hour mark, and we were by downtown by then, because there's a trail that you can go down, and we were close to downtown. And then we ended up popping into Terry Black's for some barbecue, and then we made the walk back. So we literally walked for 2 hours, and I've never done anything like that with someone. And I just thought it was so serendipitous and just so fun. So like, I'm really just trying to like live and be in my life, and like, yes, I'm gonna get some work done and like work as hard as I can when it is time to work, and then also play and just live my life, because in the grand scheme of it all, we all have the same ending. And, you know, I want to live my life, especially while I'm this young, especially while I don't have a family, especially before the world could potentially end. You know what I mean? So, that has really just like shifted my focus, and like making sure I am creating this well-balanced life. And I think that was what happened with that breakdown, is like realizing like I'm putting so much energy into things that I'm not seeing the results with, but then also other things are falling behind. So my theme for March, I think this is a great time to talk about that, is radical responsibility. And I got this from the Queen, Kaylani. She was our one of our instructors at Maddie Maples retreat. I believe she's Kaylani Francisco on her Instagram, if I am remembering that correctly. We actually connected when she came out here to Austin, and we had a great time getting to know each other and whatnot. But yeah, I saw one of her TikToks, and it was basically talking about like living in integrity, and, you know, especially as a coach or a healer. And with that comes taking radical responsibility, and like owning your integrity as a coach. And like, that word just really stuck with me, because it's like, okay, I am teaching women how to create a fulfilling life. I'm teaching them how to show up, how to do the damn thing. And like, yes, I do have my morning routine. I do have my nighttime routine. I do go to the gym. I do all these things. But there is that maybe 1% more that I could be doing that would just have me show up. And I think it is that radical responsibility. And so every day I'm doing something that would be radically responsible. That's the word. And yesterday, Sunday, was like radical rest. Like, I did not work at all on a Sunday, and like took time away from the screens, took time away from being on my phone, took time to just like be outside, you know? And like today I ran an errand that I had been putting off for so long. I also meal prepped my meals I usually split up my meal prepping, but I just decided to get it all done today, so that way all my meals were ready for the week. Over the weekend, I had stuff to donate that had been in my car for so long, so I took that out. And doing even just those little things, I think are really going to help me for some of the big things that I need to like take some responsibility for this month, which is going to be coming this week. I'm working up the courage to do some stuff, which I can report back on. But yeah, I'm really shifting into radical responsibility. And it also ties in with my yearly word and theme, which is devotion. And so there's definitely some shifts and some things happening, and yeah, we'll just see how this month goes and the next few months go. I have really big things and plans going for the business so far. I've been working with an online business manager. Her name's Serena. She's the best. And I also have my social media assistant, Abby, who is a queen. And so I have like a little team, which is crazy. And also with this radical responsibility, there is another thing coming through. And I saw this on social media. I forgot who posted it, but in terms of like me being an entrepreneur, me being a business owner, me being a coach, on my coaching page, I feel like I'm still posting like a content creator. And so something that I will be shifting into is like, yeah, I am a business owner. I am a coach. I'm going to be selling stuff. Like I have this love to give and these services to offer and things I want to do to help women. And yeah, I feel like I've been so stuck in posting like a content creator because I have been a content creator for so long. So there's going to be a shift in how I am showing up online. And it's not like I'm being someone different. It's just like really owning that I am a coach, and that like, yes, I don't have a 6-figure business yet, but I'm almost there. Yes, I'm still figuring out, what works best in my business, and that's okay. I feel like a lot of times in the coaching industry, we hear quick successes and quick wins almost of like reaching these milestones in X amount of time. And like, I've been falling into that trap of comparison, and like mine's just taking a little bit longer. But that is how everything goes in my life. Everything always just takes a little longer than someone else. But I learned so much along that way, and it makes it that much more sweeter personally for me to know like, yeah, I really built this and I really worked on this. That's what I saw with my first brand, Vibe with Aid. And now I'm reaping the benefits of having that brand. And I'm just holding on to this vision, and it's really freaking hard sometimes. And when I was having my crying breakdown to Chase, I was like, I gotta focus on my skincare, and I gotta meal prep, and I gotta do a budget, and I gotta get 10K steps in, and I gotta do this business, like full on breakdown. And he was just so funny because he was like, well, it's because you care. You care about having this life. You care about wanting to make a change. You care about living a leading, fulfilling life. Like, because you care so much, it is going to be hard because you're doing more than the average person, right? The average person is not happy in their job. They're not treating their body with love and respect. They're not, doing things that would benefit them. And they have just settled for that, and I'm not downplaying anyone that has that. I get life can be hard. I get it. And it's hard to dig yourself out when you are deep in those trenches, but you got to do it if you want something to change in your life. And that's what's really hard about mine right now is that like, yeah, I see that vision so clearly of who I desire to be and where I want to be in life. And it's not going to come easy. It's just not going to come easy to me. And it's okay because I'm here to live this human experience. And like, I used to say that my why and my purpose was to help people. But really, I've changed this, that like my why is really just to live this life and live this human experience and like channel what I go through to help someone else, And it's really got me thinking about like, You know, I don't necessarily want to teach too much on like coaching to new coaches, but I want to teach like more so the other side, not necessarily like, okay, here's how you can create systems and get a bunch of leads and convert them into clients. Like there's a bunch of coaches for that, right? I want to more so teach like the mindset, the energetics, and like how to take care of yourself as a coach so that way you can help out others, and also to not get so bogged down by what the coaching industry kind of like tries to mold you into. You know what I mean? And that's just like a random thought, right? I've had that thought of like, how can I support coaches and leaders and like entrepreneurs, ambitious women to like make sure they're taking care of themselves and still getting the job done and still getting the work done. So that's like something else that's been coming through. Because yeah, I'm still learning as myself as a business owner. I know how to start a brand. I know how to get a business up and running, right? And now I'm in the long game of like, okay, how do I make this my life, right? How do I make this my career forever? And it's going to take time. And I remember in my human design reading, my profile, I believe, I could pull it up really quick. I think my profile, which for those that don't know human design, I'm going to be doing a whole deep dive on it soon on the podcast and in a lot of my content. So stay tuned for that. And also readings are definitely going to be coming, which I'm excited about. But where is it? My profile. So my type is a generator. So there's 5 types in human design. I'm a generator. There's also a profile, which represents your personality. And there's 2 numbers. And this is how you experience the world around you. I'm a 6-2 profile, which is actually interesting because I think I have other 6-2 clients. So it's 6-2. And mine is the exemplary human. So I have the role model and objective observer. And then the 2 is like also more hermity, I believe. And so what was interesting is it says for the first 30 years of your life, you will learn best through trial and error, which if you know my brand, you know I always say experimenting. Failing or simply not enjoying something is your greatest teacher. It's this trial period that leads you to harness your experience and thus great wisdom, which I am turning 28 this year. So once we get to that 30-year mark, who knows what has happened. I also, side note, am worried about my Saturn return. I keep on getting TikToks about it. We'll pause there, come back to this. Then it says age 30 to 50 is a time to reflect on your experiences and enjoy life. And your 2 line will feel most at home during this time. So 30 to 50, I'm supposed to reflect and enjoy life. After age 50, you'll feel called to fully embody the role of wise role model who leads by example. And when she told me this, I was like, so I haven't peaked in life yet? I haven't peaked? Amazing. I thought that was so fascinating. So I'm like, I already feel like I'm a wise role model who leads by example. Like, who knows what 50-year-old me is going to look like? Like, that's just crazy to me. And then it goes on to talk about I'm supposed to become the role model your child's self wish existed. What was missing from the people who raised, taught, coached you, become that. At one point or another, you don't need to read, learn, try more. Just be. You have all you need within you, which definitely I have been leaning into. So, yeah, it's just super, super fascinating getting into human design and all of that. But needless to say, everything I'm doing is still trial and error and experimentation, especially within my business. So we're just kind of like figuring it out. I don't even know how we got on this topic, but I think it was somewhere around radical responsibility. I'm going to take a pause to sip my tea. I think it's finally cool enough. Got some sleepy time tea. I'm supposed to be getting sleepy. Definitely gonna read and journal after this, but if you're still listening, just like thank you for holding space. We've gone a bunch of different directions tonight, but I always feel the need to do like a life update catch up video or podcast episode or something before I continue on to my content, because like in a way I channel my life experiences into my content, and I feel like there would be a big missing piece to the content that I was doing if I didn't talk about these things. You know what I mean? The one thing I was like, let's pause on this, Saturn returns. I looked up mine and it said I'm not going to go through it until 2025, but all these people on astrology are like, if you were born between 1994 and 1996, like get ready. And it's supposed to last like 3 years, from like 28 to 30, I think. So like, I think mine is coming. And things get a little funky with your Saturn return, I've heard. You go through like 3 of them. One of them will be in your 20s. The other one will be in your 50s. And then the other one will be in your 80s. And I think it is that like Saturn is like making its return in terms of like the planet in your chart or something like that. Because it moves slow, maybe. I don't know. But from what I've heard, and I have also seen in my older friends, which I am so glad I have them because I will be leaning on them heavily. You go through a lot. Like you'll go through big life changes, like you'll uproot, change your life, whatever. I don't know. So I'm nervous but interested. I'm open to what's about to happen, but I'm also like, what's going on here? Because a lot of people on TikTok are freaking me out. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. But I just wanted to impart that in case anyone else might be going through their Saturn return. We might need to start like a support group, like literally for real. for real. This podcast is at like 37 minutes. So I'm trying to think if there's really anything else, but like that was a big thing. And honestly, just talking about this, there's like a huge weight I feel like that is now lifted. And when it comes to grief, I don't know if I'm in the place right now to give tips other than what I've shared on this podcast. People have been asking, and it's really hard when you are going through something and you're in the thick of it, and like people do ask for content about it, and it's like, I got to put a bookmark here. I just don't feel ready for it. And there's also some things that I have to discern for myself of like, yeah, there are some things that I just will never turn into content as like a personal boundary, you know? And so, yeah, when it comes to grief, like stay tuned on that, on tips. Cause I just don't know if I'm in that place right now for that. But, yeah, that's basically been it. Like, just been grieving, just been reflecting, just been resetting. March, I'm also going to be going on a big vacation, and I'm so excited to be disconnected from work, be disconnected from everyone. Chase and I are going on a cruise, 7 nights, I think 7 or 8 nights. And so, yeah, I'm really just looking forward to that. That'll be later this month. And I'm really excited for that little reset. I think that will also like wipe the slate clean and like come back, and like we got some awesome programs and offers coming out and like things I'm really excited to share with you guys. So I hope you guys are ready and interested. And if you're not, that's okay. Just keep subscribing and following for the vibes and everything like that. But this was really nice and cozy for me to do. So I hope you enjoyed these little cozy nighttime podcast vibes. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, but I will give you guys an affirmation and a note from your higher self. We'll do this for this week. Oh, also you guys, there is a full moon. So if you want to do your journaling, put out your crystals, the whole shebang, that would be really good. So funny. I went to get a facial today, and I have someone new for my facial, and you never know, like you're always feeling out, you know, whenever you have a new person doing work on you, whether it's like a facial or getting your hair done, eyebrow waxing, whatever. And we were just talking, and this girl lives in the same apartment complex as me. And it was just so crazy. She was also a Cancer. She was super into tarot and crystals and like all this stuff. She also hasn't been drinking. And I was like, man, this was like so meant to be. And so we were talking about like if we were doing anything for the full moon. And I was like, oh, I'll probably just journal. But yeah, it was just so crazy. So that was like a good highlight of the day. I was like, this was meant to happen. I almost was like, oh, I don't want to go. Like classic Taurus in me. I'm like, I always am like, oh, I just don't want to go. But then I always force myself to go. And that was like, man, I was so glad I got to go because I got to meet her. And like, that's just another friend to have. And yeah, that was really cool. So that was a cool moment to have. Another thing, last thing I'll say about, you know, dealing with death and stuff is that I really have been trying to be present in terms of like when I'm out and about. And like, I've had the cutest little human interactions of like with random strangers. And like, I really have just been trying to like, instead of looking at my phone, like smiling, talking to people, helping people out. Like today in the post office, this guy, he asked me if I knew Spanish and I tried my best to help him and he appreciated it, but man, was I struggling. But there's like another thing, like this mom was super lost in the post office, but she already had a label made and I was like, oh, I think you could go drop it off over there because the line was super long. And so she was able to do that and she gave me like a little thumbs up and like just little things like that. So like if there's anything, you know, just be present in your life and like especially when you're in public, like be nice and kind to people because you just never know. I also ran into someone that followed me in the grocery store and that was just like super cute as well. So you just never know. Like you could just miss these tiny little micro moments that just like remind you that this life is so precious and like being nice goes such a long way as human beings. So yeah, that was the last little tidbit I had to share. Affirmation for this week. Actually, that breath felt really good. I forgot we didn't do that at the beginning. So like, let's do that really quick and be still together. So go ahead, close your eyes if you want to. We're going to end this podcast with some nice breathing. Go ahead and take that first inhale in and exhale it back out. Second one in and exhale it back out. Last one in. Hold it. Release in 3, 2, 1. Exhale it back out. Amazing. Affirmation for this week is, I am strong enough to face every issue in my life with courage and trust. I am strong enough to face every issue in my life with courage and trust. Note from your higher self. This is so similar to what I was just saying. Find beauty in the moment. Seek inspiration in unusual places. That is so freaking perfect to what I was saying. Be present in your life. Find the beauty. Find the joy. Romanticize your life. Bada bing, bada boom. One last note on my Instagram this week, I will be posting a giveaway. It'll be like a nice little like self-care fun little thing giveaway. I think I'll be posting it. If you're watching this on Tuesday, it'll be posted on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. Definitely want to be giving back to my community a little bit more. So feel free to interact with that. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was very therapeutic and cathartic for me to do. And I really just appreciate you guys so much. If you sent me a DM, or checked in on me, literally anything, I appreciate it so much. I hope you guys have a very beautiful and very vibey week. We will be getting back on the content train, so stay tuned for everything. Thank you guys for sticking with me and being with me. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. And do not forget that life is a vibe. All right. Have a beautiful week. Bye.